Hey people, here we've got another one. This is hand colouring a black and white image. People you want to look up who do this kind of effect. Saudek, he's done this throughout his whole life really. He's used a paintbrush and inks and food colourings to tint a black and white processed darkroom print. Here, obviously, we're going to do it digitally. Also have a look at ukulele, Oukalele, and again, she does a very similar method, but obviously in an analog way, sort of painting inks on a print. Okay, this is the finished version, although we could spend even more time on it, painting, colouring all sorts of different bits about his body and his face and what have you. It's not meant to be perfect. It's nice sometimes if it's a sort of a bit wish-washy in places, but I think the more precise you are, sometimes unfortunately the more sort of clinical it is. It's nice if the colours kind of sort of blur together. But anyway, see how you get on. So here's the original. First thing we're going to do, depending on which image you're working on, you need to make it black and white first. So I'm going to go to Image, Mode, and then Grayscale. Now, mine's already on Grayscale, but what we actually need to do, so do that to yours first, but what we actually then need to do is take it back to RGB colour. The reason being that we need to get rid of that colour information and then obviously turn it back into RGB so we can apply the fake colour on top. Now, digital images need to look, I personally would say, a little bit like black and white sort of processed darkroom prints before the colouring effect takes into effect. So what you really want to do is go to the half black, half white circle, go to levels, and on this lowest left hand slider here, which alters the brightness, just bring it up a little bit. You want to add a bit of tone into those shadow sort of black areas, so when it's coloured, it's not going to look too sort of contrasty. Hand colouring, personally, I think looks better on slightly flatter images, but you may find that isn't the case with your image. But anyway, that's what I like to do. Okay, now we've got first thing we're going to do is select the sunglasses, and then we're going to colour them. And there's so many different ways you can select the glasses. However, some methods are better than other. Because those glasses, there's no really sort of fine line, especially around the left eyebrow, in regard to how to select them in an easy way. We've got sort of two methods. They're both a little bit rough, but they can be fine-tuned later on. I'm gonna show you both ways, but for the first way, for the glasses, I'm going to show you the lasso tool. The lasso tool is 3 down. You've got to hold down on the tool and choose the lasso from the right-hand menu. Change the feathering to about a tolerance of 5. When I draw around the glasses, I want a soft edge. If I leave it on 0, it would look like when I draw around the glasses, when I colour them, it will look like I've sort of coloured them. I've just cut them out with a pair of scissors and stuck them on from a piece of orange paper. So you'll get a very hard edge to them. So with feathering it, you'll get a kind of soft edge. So I'm going to just draw around the glasses now. I should zoom in to do this, but for workshop purposes, I am just going to do it at full screen. To zoom in, obviously Control plus, Control minus, and you can press Control 0 to view the image edge to edge at any time. Okay, so this is pretty wonky, isn't it? But you get the idea. I'm going to bring it back to the beginning, and there is my glasses. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to click on the background layer, and I'm going to do a hue saturation adjustment layer. So I click on the half black, half white circle at the bottom of the layers palette, and go to hue saturation, adjustment layer. Okay, here I click on colourize, and this is the first part of the process. Okay, so basically I've selected them in a rough manner, and I can adjust the colour by clicking colourize and adjusting the hue. So I'm just going to go for sort of yellowy orangey pair of glasses. Don't make the saturation too much, it will just look too fake. So you just want it sort of subtle, lower down. Okay, that's good. Now, what's going to happen here? I'm just going to look at the layer mask. When you do an adjustment layer, so these are functions in Photoshop, and you can colour, you can lighten, you can darken, there's all sorts of different ones. But this they always come with a mask automatically, a layer mask. And layer masks, if they are white, they show the effect to the left. If they are black, they hide that effect. Okay. On my particular layer, you can just make out the two sort of white dots of the sunglasses. So where it's white, that orangey effect I did in hue saturation adjustment layer is actually visible just on the sunglasses, and where it's black, it's invisible. Now the great thing here is I can adjust that colouring. Now I am going to zoom in now, and I will show you what I mean. When I mean you can adjust the colouring, you can see sort of around the top middle here, I've sprayed some orange onto the skin tone here. Now if I select a black brush here, so I can press D and then X, just make sure I'm on the paintbrush. There we go. Now I'm going to bring my opacity all the way up to 100 on this black brush. Now I'm going to paint with a smaller brush, so I'm going to bring my brush size down, square bracket left, or you can go through this menu and you can alter the size. Also make sure your hardness is on soft edged brushes, so bring the hardness all the way down to the left. Just press enter there. And when I paint with a black brush, what's going to happen is I'm going to hide that orange effect. Watch out here. As I paint, can you see that orange disappear? Okay? Same down the bottom here. If I skim it around here, that orange will disappear. If I made a mistake like this and went into the glasses by mistake, I can swap over to white. I can either press X on the keyboard or this double-ended arrow here. And if I paint with white, I can bring that colour back. Okay? As I say, it doesn't need to be too perfect, but you know, see how you get on. Okay, and essentially I'm going to zoom out now, so Control minus a couple of times. And what I could do essentially here is just repeat the process. So I click on the background layer again. I could get the lasso tool and I could draw around the shirt or draw around the tie or whatever. And essentially once I'd gone round it, I could just do another hue saturation adjustment layer. I just want to introduce you to another selection tool or function. It's called Quick Mask. It draws selections, and rather than drawing around something with a lasso, this paints selections. I'll just quickly show you how to use it. You've got to set it up first. It's this icon here below the foreground and background colours. Double click on it and just make sure you're on selected areas. Okay, mine already is. Press OK. You know you're now in Quick Mask because your layer goes magenta and the tab says Quick Mask up here. Okay, now let's just say I'm going to select his shirt and we're going to take that to blue. So this is a painting selection tool, so make sure you're in the paintbrush. Make sure you're on black, which we are. Press D and then X, and then I can just paint his shirt. Okay, now I should really zoom in to do this, so Control. I'm using the shortcut here, which is Control Spacebar, so I can change to that tool at any time, but Control plus or Control minus will do. And the great thing about Quick Mask is it's accurate. So I can sort of, if I wanted to really do an accurate job here, I can actually increase or decrease my brush size using the square bracket keys as I go on the keyboard, and I can start to paint exactly where I want the pixels to go. Now for workshop purposes I am doing this a little bit quicker than I should, but essentially if I was selecting his top here, I could essentially paint as I'm doing now, and I'm getting my brushes really small around the edges, and I'm just being really super careful to not paint on his face or the background. Just want his hooded top essentially, and I can sort of start to paint in and around. And I'm not actually colouring here, I'm using this quick mask mode, which essentially where you paint magenta is telling Photoshop what you want selected. Yeah? Now I'm just going to go out of quick mask mode for the moment, so you single left click on the quick mask mode button here, and what you've been painting, there you go, is now a selection. I'm going to press Control minus just to come out a little bit. And if I go back into quick mask, so single left click once, can you see what's happening? Anywhere I paint will become a selection if I paint with black. If I make a mistake like that, just swap over to white with a double-ended arrow or press X, and you can obviously paint that selection out. Okay, I'm going to swap back over to X, to black, by pressing X, and okay, for workshop purposes guys, I'm just going to do a very, very quick job here. Okay, and you know, I'm not going to win any awards for my selecting here, but you get the idea, just doing this in a rough manner. And you know, I'm going to finish doing his top here, but you could do the tie, you could do maybe a little bit of goatee beard, you could do the flick of his hair, and the skin tone. And remember, subtle is the key. Being subtle here with the colour, not too saturated, is the key here. Okay, so roughly you get the idea. Yeah, I'm going to sort of leave it there. I'm going to come out of quick mask mode. Just going to do a very last quick job. Not perfect, but you get the idea. Okay, I'm going to press Q. You can press Q to come out of quick mask as well, or you can just left click this button. There we go. Now, I'm next just going to do the same thing I did last time. I'm going to go to half black, half white circle, choose hue saturation, click on colourize, and there you go. Hey presto, I've got a red, but I want blue here, so I'm going to alter the slider. There we go. And yeah, not too saturated, the blue. And if I want to clean up at any time, I just make sure I'm clicked on the layer mask of the layer, so this one here, and I'll paint with white to add colour, and I'll paint with black to remove the colour, or obviously hide the colour. So on the tie here, I can just paint with black a little bit and get that blue edge off. Okay, but you guys are going to zoom in and do this much, much more accurately. Anyway, that is hand painting with colour on a black and white image using the lasso to select and the quick mask mode. Thanks very much guys, enjoy, look forward to seeing some results. Thanks very much.